Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my videos, and today we're ranking every single Akuma from 1 to 10. Now there has been a lot of changes to Akumas recently, so that's why I'm mainly going to be making this video, but I'm sure that a lot of you guys actually want to know the power level, or my opinion of the power level of each individual Akuma. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, click off for more. Let's get right to this video, guys. We start off with the basic Akuma. Now the basic Akuma here is actually going to be at a solid level of 8. Now the reason for this is because it is a very solid bloodline in my personal opinion, even with the low rarity. Now the first ability here, the first ability is actually the same exact thing as a Bankai stun. There's actually not much that differentiates them. If I'm going to be dead honest, I think the stun time is a little bit long, a little bit shorter, but that's about it. The second ability is probably one of the best abilities of Akuma. It's an auto dodge that does not teleport you back at the end of it, and that is actually a lot more useful than you guys think, and that makes the auto dodge probably one of the best in the game at the moment. Now the third ability is going to just be a flat damage ability. It basically does auto track to people as long as you're aiming at them when the ability starts, and it does reverse the controls. Now the C spec is probably the one that you guys know the best if you guys are anywhere familiar with the glitches in this game. Basically, if you have 3 people or 4 people grouped together, thread blade them, use the C spec, it'll pretty much one shot them immediately. And with all of these things combined, Akuma is going to be at a solid level of 8. Next up is going to be everyone's favorite Bankai. Now, I'd like to say that Bankai is not my favorite. My favorite's actually Raion Akuma. But Bankai is very OP, and because of that, I'm going to be putting Bankai at an 8.5 rating. Now, Bankai at 8.5 rating is pretty much just everything that Akuma does, but slightly better besides the auto dodge. So, as you guys can see, the stun is the exact same. It just does less damage. I think the stun time is a little bit shorter. Third ability is practically just a better ability of Akuma's third ability. If I'm going to be dead honest, I feel like Bankai is just pretty much a direct upgrade of Akuma besides the auto dodge. I feel like the auto dodge is actually worse. It is easier to tell if they use it. You also get teleported back, which makes you susceptible to being hit by abilities. Now the C spec is immensely better and drains mode when you hit someone, and I'm sure I don't need to explain why that is just so good. So yeah, Bankai is going to be at a very respectable 8.5. Now next up is going to be Shiver Akuma. Now Shiver, this may be surprising to you guys, but I'm going to put Shiver actually at a 7. Now Shiver is going to be at a 7 simply because I feel like Shiver it doesn't have a very high damage output. I feel like Shiver almost has 0 damage. So if you're using Shiver standalone, pretty much all you're going to be able to do is just annoy your opponent to the point of them rage quitting the game. You know, I feel like that is a way to win if that is necessary and what you guys want to win the game. But Shiver is pretty much just a really annoying Akuma, but its defensive capabilities make it to the point of it being a solid 7. Because as you guys can see, I am in a Kamui warp now. You cannot be attacked, you cannot attack, and you can run around pretty much infinitely as long as your stamina is up. And the third ability is also a counter if that interests you. Raion Akuma is going to be next. Raion Akuma is actually going to be a solid 6.5. Now, Raion Akuma is going to be at a 6.5 simply because Raion Akuma, I feel like it's so hard to use. I feel like Raion Akuma, just on the basis of it being hard to use, is going to be at a 6.5. Raion Akuma in the hands of a master can easily be a 10 out of 10. But if you're not well versed in, iframe abilities, if you do not know how to properly use iframe abilities, I would recommend severely avoiding this bloodline, because this bloodline is pretty much just iframe central. That is pretty much all that is good about this bloodline, is just the iframe. So if you're not good at using iframes, don't use Raion Akuma. Otherwise, it's going to be a 6.5. Next up is going to be Satori Akuma. Now, Satori Akuma is actually going to have a 4.5. I know some people are going to get mad at me over this, but first, let me explain to you why it's going to be a 4.5 on the power level. It is pretty much just a counter and an auto dodge, which both go on the global cooldown at the same exact time, so I don't know how that would be useful to you guys whatsoever. And the stun ability can be easily replaced by a lot of other abilities. Now, it does have a very high DPS output now after the buffs, but I feel like the third ability just doesn't stun for long enough to be useful. You can replace this with any other stun in the game and it'll still be just as good. The C spec is also easily replaceable. It's pretty much just the worst Shiver C spec, and the weapon spec does not do nearly as much damage as it used to do. I would say there's pretty much nothing about Satori that it isn't easily replaced, and because of that, it's going to be at a 4.5. Now we're going to be on to Bankai's redheaded step cousin. Is going to be Raion. Is actually going to be at a power level of 7. Raion Akuma. Now Raion Akuma is going to be the step cousin because a lot of the abilities are the exact same but with slightly different effects. Mostly the auto dodge, C spec, and stun. Now the stun is actually probably a much worse version than Bankai. It does not stun for as long, and it does significantly less damage to teleport you to them. The teleport can actually mess up a lot of combos, so I don't know why people say the teleport is an advantage. It actually is a much worse in my personal opinion, because with Bankai, if you want to get close to them, you can literally just run at them while they're stunned. I don't get the point. Now the auto dodge is also worse in my opinion. People say the auto dodge is better because of the ability at the end, but I honestly don't see how that's very useful. If you use Bankai correctly, you can use moves during the auto dodge, which is the primary strength. Now Raiser's third ability right here, the Raiser's third ability actually is what used to be the pride and joy of Raiser and was primarily nerfed twice. Damage was nerfed, Mo Drain slash Chi Seal was nerfed. So the third ability is much worse than it used to be. C-Spec was nerfed along with Bankai C-Spec. They are the exact same, however. Next up is going to be Shindai Akuma. Now, Shindai Akuma, after the change, is actually going to be at a 6.5. After the changes, Shindai is significantly worse than it used to be. All the people saying that Shindai requires skill now. No, it doesn't. It doesn't require skill to spam Q and spam C-Spec. It's still the brainless bloodline it used to be, but it's not as good anymore. And if you guys want to argue about that, just feel free to comment your reason why, but I just believe that is the reason. And no, the second ability here, it's a good ability. It does a lot of damage. If you can hit it, it is quite good to use, but in most cases in an actual fight, you will never use this ability. I have never seen someone use this ability against me either, even while they're using Shindai. The third ability is pretty much the pride and joy of Shindai now, because it isn't auto dodge, if you guys did not know that, but it is a quite good stunt as well. But I feel like the auto dodge being on that ability is quite weird. In my personal opinion, they should move the auto dodge to the second ability, and it'll actually be quite useful. Now, last but not least is going to be Sarachi Akuma. This is the newest Akuma currently in the game. Now, Sarachi, by a lot of people's opinions, is actually quite bad. From my personal assessment of this, it's going to be at an 8. Now, Sarachi, in most people's eyes, obviously is not quite a good bloodline. But let me explain why. All of its abilities are instant. I feel like that is easily overpowered. I don't feel like I really need to explain how that's overpowered. All of its abilities are quite literally instant. They're all instantaneous. You can use them in combo with each other, and they're all quite good. Now, you also get an insanely good throwable, which, as you guys can see, does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage indeed. C-Spec, Weapon Spec, also quite good. They're both instant. They both do a lot of damage, and they both are quite good at, you know, debilitating your opponent. With the stamina drain, the chi drain, you know, all that stuff is good. And if that was not good enough for you guys, it does have an auto dodge counter at the end of it, which actually lasts longer than Bankai's auto dodge. As you guys might know, Bankai's auto dodge and Dios Echoes is one of the longest in the game. It lasts longer than that. So I feel like that does justice for Sarachi. And if you guys still think Sarachi's bad, then you just need to face the facts. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, click off for more. See you next one, guys. Bye-bye.